everybody, and welcome to another episode of The Unlock Show. I'm Tracy Wilson, and I'm going to be your host for the next, we're probably going to be on here for about 30 minutes today, because today we're going to take the show a little bit different, a kind of different pathway. As you know, over the last few months, I've been running this show, and on our Metadime digital website, we have the opportunity for people to submit questions. So today I kind of wanted to go on a completely different tangent and actually answer a question that's come in from the community. So today I'm going to answer the question that's come in from Montana. And Montana asks, she says, she's trying loads of things in her business. She's trying, lots of things that lots of different people have given her the advice to do, but feels like absolutely nothing is working. She feels as though she's a little bit stuck and not really sure what to do and where the heck to turn. So if you ever feel like that, then I want you to hang around, because today's episode, I'm going to delve deeper into actually trying to help her overcome where she's at and actually get out of this constant cycle that she's in and move her business forward. So please hang around. My camera's a little bit wonky today. I'm just going to try and do a little bit of an adjustment. I feel like I'm sitting on the ground today and I'm coming at you from below. So anyway, welcome. Like as always, you guys, most of you are joining me inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life group that's inside of Facebook. And I want to welcome you guys here. If you're not inside of that group, guys, you want to make sure that you get yourself on over there, because that's where a lot of conversation actually takes place, whether it's on the show live or whether it's after the show. But also the Unlock Show can also be seen on YouTube. We're currently streaming live to multiple different channels, and also you can find this very soon inside of our app. And it's also a podcast version. So please make sure that, if you're not always available to jump on here and watch these live, please feel free to jump in and watch the replay, because I will go back and answer any questions that you guys have. I'll always make sure that I do that. And again, if you're inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life, you might even get some of the other experts that are inside of that group to also answer the questions for you. So let's get the show on the road. I want to make sure that you guys, these are always interactive sessions. So I want to make sure that you can hear me perfectly. And I'm seeing you guys all there. I'm saying hi, Amber. I can see Vicky, Robin. We've got a few other anonymous Facebook users here. I'm not sure who you are, but welcome to the show today. This is interactive, so there are comments. So just down below, inside of Facebook, obviously, you can just type comments. Those comments will actually come through to me, and I will try and get to them as best I can throughout today's session. She's got a pretty big question that she's asking me today, so I'm going to do my best to answer it as well and as concisely as I can over the next sort of 15 to 30 minutes. So let's get into this. Let's see what was the question that she actually asked. So her question was, "Hi Trace, hi there. I was wondering if you might be able to give me some pointers. Nothing is working in my business, and I've taken all of the suggestions that every coach I've worked with has given me, and nothing seems to work. It would seem that I need to pivot, but I don't know where to pivot. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to stop doing. What to do more of, because to me it seems like everything I've done is a failure, and I just can't continue to spend the amount of time, money and effort without some type of win somewhere." So I want to reach out to Montana today and say, hey, look, I'm so grateful that you sent this message in, because I can tell you right now that you are most likely not the only person who is feeling this way. And simply by you reaching out and asking the question enables us to bring this to light, have a conversation about it, me try to help you with it, and then also to help other people not feel so alone in this particular situation. So, don't feel like, you're the only person that's going through this, because I can assure you, you are not. So thank you so much for doing this. She goes on, she's written some other things, and I'll bring these up further into our conversation today. So the first thing I want to ask her is this. One of the things is sometimes we say nothing is working. And I want to ask you, what do you mean by this? What is your idea of not working? Because sometimes what we do is we think, we have this concept or this idea of what we think is, hey, what I want to have working, my idea of what's working. And in this case, I'm sort of reading between the lines here. And I think what she's trying to tell me is that currently she's not making any money from the activities that she is doing. So if that is the case, what we want to make sure of is that we actually have alignment here, that we're aligned. And what I mean by that is that you have alignment with the activities that you are doing. Do the activities actually lead people or give you the outcome that you're actually looking for? So to lump everything into the same bucket is everything I'm doing is not working, is probably doing yourself a big disservice, because I can assure you that there will be a lot of things that you are actually doing that are probably working really, really well. One of the ways that you can kind of keep yourself in a bit of check with this is to keep an achievement journal. So particularly when you're starting out and you're trying new things and you're just wanting to get yourself ahead, it's really easy to kind of get into that space of lumping everything's not working well into this, some things aren't working well, into the space of everything is not working well. And when we get ourselves there, it's very hard to get out of. The way that you can help yourself to get out of that is by keeping an achievement journal and just write down sometimes even the most menial things, the littlest things that you think have gone really well in that day. Pop them down into a journal so that you can reflect on them. And that will help you to get out of the place of bundling everything into that same category of nothing is working, because you'll find that there are certain things in your business that are actually working really, really well. And it's really important that you identify those, because otherwise you end up in a situation where you just feel like you want to scrap everything and start again, which may actually be the wrong thing to do. So she then goes on to say that at the moment she's spending a lot of time, she says, this is where my time goes, spending a lot of time on social media comments, on the images that I put together, on my newsletter for my email list, on content for my Facebook groups that I manage, YouTube videos. And she goes on to say all these different things. And she's obviously hustling really hard, spending a lot of time and got a lot of passion for what it is that she's doing. And throughout this, I want to share with you some of the problems that I see with this, but then also some of the solutions that I think you could run with. And, when I say run with them, it's not adding a whole lot of other stuff to the mix, because sometimes when we do that, we actually create a much bigger problem. So here's some of the problems. So one of the things she also mentioned earlier is that she's done everything that all of her coaches have asked her to do. So sometimes this can be a problem. This is listening to too many people and trying this and trying that and mixing recipes. So if you think about this, and I know I've sort of speak about baking cakes and cooking and all that sort of stuff, because I think it's really relevant and to this world of business. And given that I really enjoy eating and I really enjoy cooking, it makes sense to me that they are good analogies to use. But I've right down in front of me, I've got a whole bunch of recipes, right? So these are all fantastic recipes and they all look really yummy and enticing. But what would happen if I took one of the ingredients or two of the ingredients and one of the methods from each one of these recipes, and I tried to do all of those things? And I put all of that into a big melting pot of, hopefully I'm going to create something that's really tasty and yummy and that my family is going to enjoy eating. But the likelihood of that actually happening is pretty darn slim. So what you want to make sure that you actually do is that you're getting the recipe, the one that you need at that moment, and you're actually following that recipe as it's prescribed to a T right the way to the end, so that you get from the point of, I've seen what I want, I'm going to create this, and now I get to enjoy it at the end. So I just wanted to use that as a bit of an analogy, because often that can be the case. And with our own, I suppose, our best intentions to try and pick and choose bits and pieces from different people's methods, often that then turns into a really awful recipe, because you've got different things working against one another without necessarily knowing it. So Robin's saying, yeah, that sounds really horrible. You just wouldn't do that. You wouldn't do that in normal life. When you get really good at cooking and baking, well, you can experiment and you can add different things to it. But generally speaking, you don't go and grab a whole component of another recipe and try and add it into one. So the same applies here. The other thing that I often see is this. So part of what I know, because it's obviously a longer conversation that went on with this, but I know that she's been told, go create your funnels, go do this, go do that. And often that advice, is all, coming again with good intention, but sometimes it's actually given at the wrong time. So often people will rush out. So the majority of people will rush out. They will create funnels. They will create their website without doing a lot of the fundamental foundational work first. I'm going to go through this again in some detail in a moment. They also start doing start doing their stuff with no real clear idea of what their measurement of success is. Now, what you need to remember is that sometimes the measurement of success is not always financial. Sometimes we need to do things initially that don't have a financial outcome immediately. So again, this person has been doing this. She was telling me that she's, has been trying to build this business for over 9 months, trying lots of different things, adding lots of things to the recipe, and it's just not working. So one of the things I would get you to do is really get clear on what your measurement of success is, and not just from a big picture point of view. You want to break that down into small steps. Break what you're doing down into like monthly activities, weekly activities, daily behaviors and activities. And when you do that, you can start seeing, oh, today I had some success. Today, the Facebook Live that I did, the show that I did actually reached X number of people. I got some, somebody sent me something, sent me a message about how the message that I talked about in my show really helped them. So your measurement of success is very, very important, because if you do not have that, again, you're going to start lumping all of the things that you do into one big bucket and go, none of that worked, which is totally not true. And like I said, you're going to start doing yourself a real injustice and get yourself onto that downward spiral by doing that. So just aligning your activities and behaviors with your desired outcome. So in this case, again, like I said, I'm reading between the lines here. The outcome that she's looking for is some form of financial outcome by way of taking people through a particular style of program. So I'm just going to, like I said, I've read between the lines. I've done this long enough to know that that's kind of where she's going with this. So I'm also going to go down that path in the hope that I'm spot on, and she'll come back to me and say, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about. All right. So like I said, a lot of people sort of jump into the space of creating, funnels, and I've got to get my message and my information out there, and how do I do that? And they start really focusing on the technicalities of it all and the systems that you need to do that. And as much as that's all good and well, and that's all really important, you think about the 5 phases of sales in business, and this is kind of what people immediately jump to. And like I said, I'm going to go through the fundamentals, because before you even get to this point, there is very specific things that you need to do before you even get to the point of creating funnels, creating your website, etc., etc. The 5 phases of sales in a business are these. It's leads, nurture, conversion, you deliver, you retain, you upsell, and you resell to the clients that you have. You can't get to that point. You can't even get off the starting blocks with leads if you don't do the foundational stuff first. So what I'm going to suggest that you do, Montana, is that you use this. This is what I call the right formula. And you need to kind of unpackage everything. So the first thing you've done really, really well is you've stopped for a moment, because we all know that when the water gets really murky and we don't know where to go, what do you do to make sure that you've got a clear pathway and you can see beneath you? You want to stop so that the mud settles. So stop. And that's what you've done right now. You've stopped for a moment and you've said, hang on, I need some help. I don't know which way to turn. So you stop. Don't make another move until you've done that. So this right formula is this. You want to make sure that you've created something for the right person. So right person meaning, who is your avatar? Who is it that you're actually trying to help? Who is it, and what is your mission, and what is it that you are what are you actually trying to do for them? Then you've got the right place. You then want to understand, like, where do they hang out? So in everything that you're doing, what I want you to also know is that you mightn't actually be doing anything wrong. Sometimes we're just doing things in the wrong order. It's like trying to open up a safe at the bank. If you have the right combinations, but you have them in the wrong order, your safe will not open. You will not get to the jewels inside that safe. So it's not to say that what you're doing is all wrong. It's just that you have to do the foundational work, because that enables you to put the right things in the right order, do the right things at the right time for the right people, etc., etc. So that's, it's, I harp on about this because it's a fundamental piece of the puzzle that people just kind of skim over, and they jump to what they think is the fun stuff, only to find that when they get to the fun stuff and it's a little, 9 months down the track, oh my God, I've birthed this baby and I don't even, most mothers love their babies, but in this case, I birthed this business thing that I've got, and it doesn't even, I don't even want this anymore. This doesn't, not doing it for me. So we want to make sure that we do it right from we put in the time and the intention right from the outset. So right person, who is it that I'm speaking to? Who am I going to be helping? The right place. Part of what you're doing may actually be that the people that you are trying to reach, you are not reaching them because you are not talking to them in the right place. So you want to understand, like, where are they currently hanging out? Then the next one is the right time. You want to think about, when do they need you the most? What situation are they in when they need you? What emotions are they currently experiencing? Now, all of these questions, as I'm going through kind of the right formula, this actually formulates part of the pillars that I teach inside of my programs and with my one-on-one clients. We go deep into this stuff so that you understand and you have a really solid foundation to launch your business from. So the right time is, when do they need you most? What situation are they in? What emotions are they currently experiencing? You want to really get into the emotional state. What are they experiencing right now? And try and put yourself in that person's shoes. And maybe you've done some of this. Maybe sometimes you just actually need to go back and redo it again, because it will really help you to determine, okay, am I on track? Am I speaking to the right person? Oh, now with what I've been doing, where I've been putting my information and my message, am I actually speaking to the people in the right place? Are they actually there, or am I falling on deaf ears, or am I speaking to the wrong audience? Am I speaking to to my friends and family who don't need my help right now? So really important, this one particular piece. Then the right time, like I said, when do they need you the most? The next is the right message. When you're putting your message together, again, we want to think about it from kind of 3 points of view. When you understand when they need you the most, what type of message do they require from you at that time? Do you need to send a message that is educational? Do you need to do some sort of message that's actually to inspire and motivate them to take some form of action? Do you need to connect with them? Are you required to find a pinpoint a instance or an emotion or something where you can actually connect with that person so they feel like you're actually speaking directly to them? Then the next piece of this puzzle is the right solution. Is your solution the solution that will solve their problem? Now you can kind of see that there's a pathway and there is a pattern and a formula to this. You're understanding who you're talking to, where are they hanging out, when do I need to be speaking to them, what sort of message do I need to be giving to them at this moment in time, how do I position my solution and give them the right solution that solves their problem. And then the last one is the right price. So also then positioning your product and or service solution at the right price, a price point that they see value in. So these are really, these are really important questions. Let me have a look. I've just got some messages coming through here. So Brenda's saying to me, Tracy was being and trying to, she's saying, Brenda's actually saying, it's me. Hang on a minute. Let me put it up here. She's saying she's on this live. The person that I'm speaking about. Tracy was trying to be sweet and guarding my identity, but I'm not shy. Thank you, Brenda. Brenda is actually from Montana, so it's pretty close. And it was actually her who asked these questions. So I'm hoping today, Brenda, that it's awesome that you are here. And secondly, I hope what I'm going through now is actually going to be useful for you. What I want you to do, the best way you can get the most out of today's session is to write to me and just let me know if I'm on track. And if you've got any other questions that you want me to cover, because I'm like you recognize I'm on this live. I can see your guys' comments coming through, and I will answer them as we go. And equally, if you guys have got any suggestions for Brenda, of course, let them be known, and we will share them with her. So that right formula. In one of the previous sessions I did, I actually talked about the Big 8, and this is a document that you can use. You can actually print that off. You'll find it inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life, and it will help you to just print it and start writing down the answers to these questions, because I promise you, when you get this right, it will make the whole process a lot simpler. Because she's made herself known, I can also, I will just, I'm sure she won't mind, because she's saying, I'm not shy. But I actually went and had a look at some of her stuff, and I was looking at, hence the reason that I've kind of gone down this path, because I figured this would help her. So I've looked at her funnels, I've looked at some of her messaging, I've looked at her, the way in which she's targeting. So I can see that when we're trying to create a way that we're able to help people that also has a financial outcome for us, in the sense that we're actually delivering value, we're helping people with their situation, and we're experts with what we do, there are three key things that we need to make sure that we get right. And I could see that some of, like when I talked about these combinations, I could see that some of these were just slightly off. And again, I would recommend, I'm happy to jump on a call with you too, Brenda, and we just delve into this a little bit deeper and do, really look at your business in some detail. But you want to make sure that you've got the right connection, you're building authority, and you're amplifying, or you're getting your message out there. And I can see that what you're trying to do is on the right track, but there's just a few little things that are kind of just a little bit off center, and that's why you're not getting the cut through that you're looking for. I think your product is good. I think and it's a big enough type of audience that has got a big enough problem. Just the messaging needs to be dialed in a little bit further. So I would recommend you go back and you look at that Big 8, and you really, really just stop for a moment, take the time to go through all of that information first, then go and have a look at what you're actually doing, because that will give you the contrast that you need to determine what things are actually working well and what are not. So if I go right back to the question that you asked, it was like, nothing is working in my business. We've addressed that. And I would recommend that you kind of look a bit deeper, because you will find a lot of things that you're doing really, really well. Also, it would seem that I need to pivot, but I don't know where to pivot, and I don't know what to stop doing. This process that I'm taking you through now will help you to identify that. It will help you to see, okay, what is my plan? Even if you did this right from the get-go, go back, review it. What was my plan? Now look at all the things that you are doing and isolate each of those things. So you mentioned, I'm posting on Facebook, I'm doing blogs, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, my messaging, etc., and be really specific. Look at each individual component, then go back and say, did that activity get me to the result that I'm looking for? If it got me a bit further, and remembering that sometimes the result might not necessarily be financial. It could just be that right now in this moment, what I was trying to do was get myself really confident to speak well on camera. And if that's what you achieved, then that's a really good thing. Like I've also alluded to, it's breaking all of these steps down. So partially the first I break it down into trimesters. So like 3 months at a time, you're working on 90 days. You break that down into monthly and break it down into weekly and then daily activities. And when you start to know, you start to create the activities that you want to do. So what could I do? What will I do? You start breaking them down. Again, it will give you some very clear actions and behaviors that you need to instill into, your daily activities that will get you one step closer to the results that you are looking for. So Brenda, I just want to make sure that what I'm talking about is actually is what you're looking for, that it is that this is something that will help you. And like I said, I'm more than happy to jump on a call with you and just run through this stuff so that you're very, very clear on it all. Hey guys, so this is kind of, if you've got a question, this is what you do. You put it in. We're going to talk about it on, when I have a session where I'm available to do so. I will make sure that I answer all of the questions that come in from the community, and then you just, you never know, I might say, hey, we can jump on a separate call, which I'm happy to do from time to time. So I hope that you found this really useful for you today. I know that Brenda is not the only person that is finding this, found herself in this situation. And the thing is, what I'm passionate about is helping people who are experts at what they do, because quite often it's the person who is the expert who is the one that's hidden, that is quiet, that people don't know about. So I want to take you from being that hidden, unknown expert to someone who can actually be found, be seen, and then also obviously make a decent sort of living, but also change the lives of people, because the more lives you can change, the more people you can help, the more people you can help. It's as simple as that. It's like this, fulfilling prophecy that actually takes place when you start doing that. When you're struggling, you kind of find yourself spinning your wheels and you're not really going anywhere, and it makes it really difficult for you to help more and more people. So what my last parting comment would be this. I'm just going to have a look at some of my notes. So I've got 3 things. So you want to start with one thing in turning and making changes in your business, just one thing at a time. You also want to start with a very intentional desired outcome. Then you want to measure your success against that planned outcome. Not always financial. That's what I'm saying, not always financial, but often you want to make sure that it does lead to some financial success down the track. Then what you're going to do is you're going to add one thing at a time, or subtract one thing at a time as required, because that then will tell you which thing has worked and which one hasn't. Test and measure constantly. You want to constantly be doing that, but not adding lots and lots of things to the recipe at the same time, because then you just don't know which part of that recipe has actually worked. And then lastly, you want to find somebody who's got a system that you can follow and implement, and follow it through to the end. Like I said at the beginning, often this may not be the case for you, but often the majority of people will follow lots and lots of different people, and they try and make their own recipe by adding bits and pieces to it, and end up with a big icky mess. So and something that doesn't taste real good, and gets you in a situation where you're trying to figure out which piece of this recipe is not good for me and which parts should stay. So those would be my recommendations for you. I'm hoping that they are useful for you, and I look forward to helping many more of you guys that are inside of the Success Secrets for Business, Family and Life with anything that is related to business. I predominantly specialize in helping people find their message from within, how to package that up, and then be able to turn that into a really solid business concept model that is sustainable and profitable over a long period of time. So if that's something that you've got a question about, and of course I love talking about family and just life in general. So if you've got any of those kind of questions, you've been following me for a while and you want to kind of know how I do something, I'm an open book and I will share that with you. So thanks very much. I applaud Brenda for being super brave today and putting her hand up and saying, hey, that was actually me. I really appreciate you saying that, actually sending in and asking that question, because for you doing that, you've just helped many people today. I would say that by the time people have finished watching today's session, you will have touched the lives of hundreds of people. So thank you so much for doing that and being so brave and bold to do so. So thanks guys, thanks very much for joining me on today's show, Unlocked with Tracy Wilson. I am grateful every day that I get to be here with you guys, and I look forward to being here with you again on Friday. Don't forget, Friday at the moment, I'm doing a really special series. And if you are somebody who's wanting to find your message, you want to figure out how to get that out there to a much wider audience, you want to join me and listen to that series, because it will be every Friday for the next 3 Fridays. And then I'm going to tell you how you can, how you can get more of that, and how you can take what I'm sharing with you and turn that into a really successful business model for yourself in this current environment and climate. So thanks for joining. I will see you guys on Friday. Have an awesome day, and don't forget, live your life unlocked, because there is just no other way. See you guys.